What's going on, guys? So I've been wanting to shoot something like this for a while. Just something kind of off the cuff, podcast style, but not really a podcast. I don't have all the equipment for it yet. And maybe in the future I'll start doing something like that. But I just wanted to kind of pick a topic and kind of riff on it for a little bit. So the topic I chose today is change, right? I was doing a video yesterday that I posted on confidence and how confidence helps in having success in dating. And it kind of got me thinking about change, how you can go from being one person one day to, in a very short period of time, I mean, weeks and months, to a completely different person, almost unrecognizable by your peers. And to me, it's very fascinating that you can do that, right? And this is actually the thing that really turned me on to Fearless, was because I went to this workshop, right? It was just a 3-day workshop. But it changed everything. And up until that point, I always had this concept that me personally, I couldn't change. There was something wrong with me, right? All the practice in the world wouldn't help me change something. So I had this very limited view of myself, this very limited view of my potential. But when I went to actually go do this work with Brian, when things started to change, it got me really excited, right? Not just about the change that I was having with women, but yes, I was definitely excited about the change I was having with women. But something else clicked, and it was like, oh, I've got the potential to change. I'm not broken. So if I could do it here, then I could do it in any other area. I could do it with money. I could do it with health and fitness. And it really got me excited. So what I did was I kind of went and listened to some of the guys that Brian learned from. David Nagel, Bob Proctor, really dived into a lot of the material. And just because I was excited to see where I could go with this, right? Because I knew that when I was working with Fearless and Brian, that things were moving really fast and things were changing. I was like, cool, if I just put my head in this other stuff too, that stuff will also start to change. And it has, actually quite rapidly. So for you, the listener, you may be in a place right now where you just really don't feel like you can change. Like anybody can do it but you, right? And to that, there's a sense of brokenness or a sense of learned helplessness or even a sense of victimhood in that, which kind of in a lot of ways feels very comfortable. Like I remember being there. I remember how comfortable that felt until I really started to want to have women in my life, right? So it was very comfortable up until a certain point of being like, yeah, it's uncomfortable that excuse is getting me by. But when I really, let's say I saw a woman I really liked, and then that self-esteem, or that lack of self-esteem kicked in, and I couldn't have her, that hurt, right? And that hurt so much that it became the catalyst for me wanting to let go of those BS excuses, those BS victimhood, this learned helplessness that I had. It was enough to get me up to figure out, how do I change this? And that's literally what I did. I hopped online and figured out, how do you talk to women? Like, how do you get women? And this is how somehow I came across Brian. I think maybe it was in a search bar for YouTube, maybe it was Google, but they hit me on the Fearless. And that's where it started, right? Because the pain started to become greater than the comfort of having victim mentality and learned helplessness. And at the time, I didn't know this was learned helplessness. At the time, I didn't know this was victimhood, right? Nobody ever taught me that. I didn't learn that until I started doing work with Ryan. So before that, I was just kind of in this place like, shit is not working. I'm not getting what I want. I was overweight, out of shape, always broke. Definitely didn't have choice when it came to women. I just knew I wasn't happy, right? So I guess a part of me had a little bit of faith or had a vision that things could actually change, right? But historically, I knew that when I tried to start something, that I give up very fast. It's always been like that. With the gym, I'll go for a week, then I'll stop. Anything I sign up for and pay money for, I'll do it for like a week and then I'll stop. And this kind of comes to the point where this kind of brings you to the point where I started taking more workshops with Fearless, because I knew that after that first one, things were changing so much. that I was very aware of my history with repetition and my history with consistency, and it was terrible. And all I know is that if I just pay some more money, work with these guys again, that it's going to help me. It's going to help me be consistent, right? Because it was working. Basically, what I was trying to do was I was trying to double down on the success that I was having, and it completely worked. And I did that long enough to everything just started taking off where I didn't necessarily need to do the work per se. Everything kind of became subconscious. And that's what I talked about in the last video, right? Things starting to become so second hand that you don't even think about it. You walk up to a girl and immediately you're locked in, you're looking for that eye contact, you're trying to create a connection right off the bat, you're trying to see if she's receptive to it, and it just happens. And next thing you know, they're glued in with you, they're looking right at you, and you know that if you got her looking right at you, like you're looking at her, then you already know it's on, right? But that's something that I had to learn over time, which is a part of that change. So change is a very interesting thing. It's even more interesting when you're in the middle of it, right? When you're in this weird metamorphosis to where, let's say, you go from not having a result and it pissing you off that everybody else has this thing that you want, but you can't seem to get it, till you are starting to get it now all of a sudden. You start to get little glimpses of it. We use women, for instance, right? Women that start to show you more interest. Women that start to laugh and be playful when you're talking to them. Women that start to actually ask you questions about yourself, which women never did before, probably, right? And all of a sudden, it starts to feel really good. And then it leads to you getting numbers, and women are actually showing up for dates, and you're actually making out, and now you're actually having sex with them, and now you're having sex with multiple girls. Like, there's this weird place in there where things are starting to move against what your belief system be, has constantly, consistently believed it should be moving, right? And so it's kind of an unknown space, but an unknown space that actually feels really good, right? And it becomes a motivator for you to get up and keep doing the thing over and over and over. And the other beautiful thing is this, man. I would always say, Brian said, and this is so true. People around you, your peers, your friends, your coworkers, people who know you, they will see your change before you yourself see the change, right? Because the change that I'm talking about right here is basically it's the external world changing. It's the feedback that you're getting from the external world. But truly, what's really changing, or what has to change first in order for the external world to change, is the internal world needs to change. How you feel about yourself needs to change. How you respond to your emotional states. How reactive are you? What do you do with your emotions? Do you run from them or do you feel them? Like, all of that stuff has to change. And as that stuff is starting to change, it starts to translate into the physical world. And I'll give you an example. When you become really good with, let's say, feeling your heavier emotions that you don't want to feel, your darker emotions that, your angers, your frustrations, your sadness, your grief, your fear. Like, when you really get good with feeling that stuff and you stop running away from it, especially for a long period of time, like you're really getting very familiar with what it feels like, and it stops having this control over you, you start to learn how to relate to other people who are having those emotional experiences. And actually what happens is you start to get very clear on what people are experiencing in their own internal world as you're out and about, you're in the store, or even when you're talking with the woman face to face, right? You start to just become very aware of what she's feeling. Like, you can tell right away when a woman's nervous, and you almost tell how nervous is she, what is she exactly nervous about. You start to get very clear on it because you've gone through the internal work with yourself. You've experienced those emotions and didn't run from them. You've actually processed something fully through. So you actually have a lot of insight as to why she's feeling what she's feeling, but also how to calm her down, how to help her relax a little bit, right? And usually that's just small shifts in how you're being, right? Maybe saying things that need to be said that are not being said, that are creating an awkward moment. And it's really a beautiful thing. But that internal work is everything that's going to give you what you want in the external world. So I keep this video short because it's getting hot and the sun is like completely killing me right now. And I just want to give you guys some nuggets to kind of put in your brain to think about as you're going through your day, as you're going through your morning. Just start to think about where you are now, the change that you want to occur, while you don't currently have it, and why you aren't moving forward to do it, to do the work to get the result that you want. And let me tell you this, man, everybody is capable of change. Even the most unaware person is capable of changing if he can allow himself to be more aware of the world around him, his internal state, the things that he wants, what's keeping him from having them. Because that's usually the bigger thing, right? Most guys are just very distracted around what's going on in their current world around them right now, that it won't allow them to take time out of their day to really look at what it is they want and where they want to go. And it keeps them in that cycle for so long. I've seen it with so many clients who come through the door. So just kind of take that and think about it, man. And I just want to motivate you in the sense that remind you change is possible, and it doesn't need to take a long time. Again, for me, it took a 3-day workshop and everything started to change then. So I don't know, just kind of take that little bit and rock with it, and let me know how that affects you, man. If you're somewhere in the journey right now where you feel like you're behind the ball, just know that it's not going to last for a very long time. You just have to make a decision to do something about it. All right, guys, I love you, and I will see you guys in our next video. Peace.